Hello, this is Empires and Revolution, and today we will be looking at the mythology of Britain. In particular, the idea that dragons once roamed the land. Dragons are very much part of British folklore. There's the legend of St. George and the Dragon. There's the Welsh dragon, which appears on the flag of Wales. In Arthurian legend, there's the story of the red dragon and the white dragon, and there are many other tales and legends of dragons, which are also sometimes referred to in the ancient stories as great worms. There was a film made by a well-known British director called The Lair of the White Worm, which was essentially about a kind of dragon-like creature. So what's going on with Britain and dragons? And what has happened to all the dragons? My view is that possibly this is an aspect of cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is the science, so to speak, inverted commas, of mysterious and unknown creatures. Britain is well known as a part of the world that has seen frequent extinctions. For example, there used to be elk, wolves, bears, and a number of other creatures that have all died out in the United Kingdom, mainly hunted to extinction. And the tale of St. George and the Dragon suggests that something similar might have happened to our dragon population. But just what exactly is or was Britain's dragon population? Part of the answer might be found in the myth of the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster is one of the best known myths and legends of Britain. Conclusive proof of this monster has yet to be found, but there is more than enough anecdotal evidence, much of which goes back hundreds of years. This may attest to a still existing and living creature, or to a creature that once inhabited the waters of Loch Ness. Now, if we see the Loch Ness Monster as a kind of dragon, that suggests that the British species, inverted commas, of dragon may have been a semi-aquatic creature. This would make sense because a reptilian creature of the sort that dragons are normally assumed to be would face certain challenges surviving in the British climate. But having said that, it should also be pointed out that in the past the British climate has seen a lot of change. There have been periods when it has been much warmer. Of course, if you go back about 25,000 years, Britain was covered with ice. So the zoological history of Britain has probably seen a lot of drastic changes. But Britain today is inhabited by reptilian creatures, small snakes and a few lizards, but there is also the possibility that in the distant past there were much larger reptilian creatures. In fact, if you think about it from a kind of heat retention point of view, larger reptiles would have certain advantages over smaller reptiles in a cold climate. Now, what might have happened is that in the initial phase after deglaciation, when Britain became a warmer part of the world, the island was colonized by reptiles that may have evolved to be quite large. This could have been because of an absence of predators, or it could have been due to Foster's theory. Foster's theory is the idea that small animals, when they colonize an island, become larger, and large animals become smaller. In the case of Britain, this could have led to much larger reptilian creatures, something on the scale of the Loch Ness Monster. Semi-aquatic reptiles would also have some advantages in the UK, especially as the weather became colder. They could escape from freezing temperatures by lurking in the streams and rivers and lakes. Now, there is quite an interesting story or legend that ties into some of these themes and ideas, and that is the legend of the Lambton Worm. Now, this legend is set firmly in the Middle Ages, but that doesn't necessarily mean too much. It might be a reflection of older myths and legends. According to the most up-to-date version of this story, it occurred near the castle of Lambton, which is in the county of Durham in the north of England. Now, I'm going to read from the Reader's Digest, Folklore, Myths and Legends of Britain, which is a surprisingly informative and well-written book. The account begins. In the Middle Ages, there was once a wild youth who was heir to Lambton Castle. He went fishing in the River Wear one Sunday and caught a strange-looking worm. On his way home, he threw it into a well by the castle and forgot about it. As he grew up, he changed his wild ways and eventually joined a crusade to the Holy Land. During his absence, the worm grew to an enormous size and wriggled out of the well. It soon began to ravage the district, killing man and beast, and each night it slept coiled 3 times around Lambton Hill, which is now called Worm Hill. Attempts were made to slay the monster, but whenever it was cut in two, the halves merely joined up again. 7 years later, the Lord of Lambton's son returned. He was stricken with remorse at the result of his youthful folly, so he asked a witch what would be the best way of tackling the monster. She told him to cover his armour with razors and then fight the worm in the middle of the river. The price of her counsel was that he should kill the first creature to greet him after the victory. The plan was successful, for when the worm wrapped itself around the knight, the razors cut it into pieces, which were then swept away by the river before they could join together. But when he signalled to his father on his bugle, the old man forgot to release a greyhound as arranged, and ran to the river himself. The son refused to kill his father, so the witch put a curse on the family. In fact, from that day on, many Lambtons died violently, some in tragic accidents and others in battle. There, that's the end. Now, from this legend, as you can see, the Lambton Worm, it's a kind of dragon-like creature. It's a kind of semi-aquatic creature. It's a very, very large creature. We can conclude that if there's any factual basis in this tale, it refers to a rather large, semi-aquatic, reptilian-like creature that might not be unlike the Loch Ness Monster. And that what we're seeing here is maybe an echo of a previous myth, going back possibly thousands of years to when Britain was a country inhabited by much larger reptiles that were then hunted to extinction. Anyway, it would be nice to think that this British myth is not entirely mythical, but has at least an element of fact and truth about it.